Welcome to the Business Greater Than You podcast, where we dive deep into the stories of men and women who have successfully transcended the frazzled solopreneur life and built productive teams with better lifestyle and income.
I'm Nelson Bars, the founder and owner of Utah Independent Mortgage Corp.
And I'm Liz Sears, founder and co-owner of My Utah Agents.
We're excited for you to listen, interact, and grow with us. So please share your comments below and let's get started.
All right, so today's the day we're going to dig in just a little bit deeper and look under the hood of each of our businesses.
I'm excited to see how your team works. Not just your company, but within your company you have a team, right?
Yeah, so you and I we have the business that we've built, and then we still have our core team, which ironically is actually relatively similar to the original core team I had when I was underneath a different brokerage, and I think similar to you as well.
Or at least the team I wanted to build before, right?
You know what? I love that you said it that way, because I've said several times now to one of my assistants that it's a bit surreal because I finally have exactly what I've been trying to build over all of these years. So
cool.
Excited to share how that looks.
So we want to get into the nuts and bolts of each person on your team and what they do, and the life cycle of a lead. And we talked through all that, but first just talk to us about the evolution of your business before you had a team and things you've tried in the past and what's brought you to this point.
Perfect. Okay. So starting just a little bit, should we pick up the pen? Okay.
It's okay. Just look at Liz for a minute.
All right. So starting from my team and where we built, originally, obviously, most realtors start out as a solo person unless they join someone else's team. I didn't. I started out as a solo agent and wore all the hats. I was the chauffeur of my clients. I was the marketer. I was the follow-up. I was the transaction coordinator. I was the put out the fires, all of those different pieces. So the
Sounds delightful.
Oh, it was awesome. I remember the time when I was at Disneyland with my family and something went down on a file and I had to step out of line to take care of this, and my family ended up going on the ride without me, even though I'd waited in line with them. And then that happened on the next couple, and I remember being so frustrated. I'm like, this is not the life that I thought I would have. Thought when I'd go on vacation, I'd be on vacation. And happened again when my family came in town for a trip. Everybody was out playing and they were all at my house, and I was in my office trying to fix these issues that came up. So what I found is that in order to have the lifestyle I needed someone I could delegate to. And so one of my first hires was my assistant. Second hire was my transaction coordinator. Third hire was my runner to put up the signs and lock boxes. And my last one was my marketer to do social media, graphic design work, things like that. And even still, my assistant was not on site. She worked remotely. And having a remote assistant, you miss out on some of those things when you want to be able to come in after a listing appointment and you have your packet and you just turn it in. Yeah. And then they run with it. And I finally have that where I'm at now. And so to go through the difference between my little mini team I had and our bigger team is we have now a director of operations. She's moved above the manager role, and she's over all of the operations. She's over our finance person. Also our front desk, or we need to come up with a sexy name. I know my last brokerage called it the director of first impressions.
Yeah, I've heard that one before.
But they just handle everything inside of the office. And so we have the front desk people. And then we have our sales side with our transaction coordinating manager who started yesterday. I'm so excited about that. And then we have our two virtual assistants that she's over, and they handle everything once we go under contract. And then we're currently hiring right now for a sales manager. And the sales manager is going to help me and my partner and each of our agents just with all of the sales side of things. So coaching, training, tracking numbers, assisting wherever's necessary there.
Awesome. So how long did it take you to start getting help?
I stuck it out for like 5 years.
Really?
Yeah. Well, no, I take that back because I started, as you know, in mortgages in 2000, and I started having my assistant help me just part-time in 2003. So I guess it was 3 years before I had somebody part-time, and then about 5 years, I think, is when she came on full-time with me.
Did you resist that a lot? Or did it take you a while to finally get some help, or what was the catalyst? Was it that Disneyland trip?
Probably, honestly.
You're like, I'm done with
at
this.
that point where I'm like,
This is not what I signed up for. Real
Yeah.
estate, right? All the free time in the world.
all the free time in the world. And that was probably about that time.
Yeah.
And so really what had me the most scared, and I know that we talked about this in the other episode that we had, was just, do I have enough money to cover my expenses and their salary?
Mm-hmm.
And so lucky for me is I actually found somebody who was already in the mortgage industry, who already knew commission-based income. And so we were able to work out a split. I said, for every deal I close, you get this much of it. And she's like, okay, which was nice because then I only had to pay her when I got paid. And that actually was a win-win. She probably made more money per hour than she would have made otherwise, but it was peace of mind for me because I knew that if I kept having the traditional ebbs and flows of business, I'd be okay.
Yeah, there's fixed costs and there's variable costs, right? And you were able to make it strictly a variable cost. She got paid when you got paid.
Yep.
I think that's awesome.
Okay, how about you? Walk us through yours.
My evolution, I don't know why, but I never built a team for a long time. I've been doing this for like 20 years. It's probably only been 3 years that I've had an effective team. And for a few years, I stumbled a lot prior to that, right? A lot of it, I think, is just perfectionism and also, I always felt guilty delegating the busy work or the administrative stuff to someone else. I don't know. I had a lot of perceptions. There would be guys in my office who were high producers, and they would just, their job was rainmaker. And I looked at them like jerks, right? Like, you guys give all the hard work to your team, and you just go have fun. And it was really a negative view of a high producing person.
I'm going to interrupt you
Go
right
ahead,
there
yeah.
because as you were talking, I went, oh my gosh, I remember something. So when I brought in my first assistant, I did at the 5-year mark bring in another person, 2 different people actually, to come and help me to grow my business. But what I realized is I love the paperwork side of things. So what you were referring to as the hard part was the part I loved. And I found that I kind of got sucked into really loving teaching them how to do that part. And I wasn't out rainmaking. I wasn't out finding more sales, because even though I loved helping people and talking to people, like asking for the business was something that I had to learn how to make it in an approach that fit with my personality, as opposed to the approach that everybody told me to take.
Yeah.
Everybody told me, call them up and ask them if they know someone looking to buy or sell. Call them if they know this. And I'm like, oh, that's not me. But now what I've found is that just calling people and just caring about them, showing up at the important stuff in their life, reaching out to them. They go on vacation. You're like, how was your vacation? Send me some pictures. Just things that you connect differently. So I had to figure out how to become the rainmaker, because I wanted to be in the office doing the paperwork. But if no one's out selling,
right,
you can fail. So it was kind of tough.
I think that's the hard part. And I don't think, at least in my business, and I think most businesses, the selling piece is the piece that you keep when you're building your own team.
As it should be.
Yeah, you're building. I think most of our listeners are probably in some way or another, they have to sell. They have to sell their business. And in order to do that better and more, they need to get help for the administrative, the fulfilling part of the business, right? Whatever you've sold, now it has to be delivered in some way or another. And so you're hiring people to do as much of that as possible. And I think part of the reason why it took me so long to get a team is because I knew that if I did hire a team, the only thing left for me would be sales, right? And I would much rather not. I'd much rather sit and work on a file, or make it pretty and do detail work instead of get out there and sell. Right?
Yeah, because then at least you're still doing something super productive if you're doing the file.
Right.
Yep.
You feel like you're working, right?
Yeah.
And I filled up a lot of my time with fake sales, like Facebook or websites and things like that I felt like I was working. So I could justify my time, but then it's not turning into business.
Exactly. I was doing a little training with my team just last week. And one of the things that I brought up is I said, let's do some pop buys. That's what we're going to train on today. And as I started talking to them, I knew we had a 2-hour time block. And I'm like, they're going to make it take 2 hours. Yeah. So I said, let's use Parkinson's law in your favor, which is task expands to fill the time allotted. And I said, you have 15 minutes tops to come up with what your pop by gift is going to be. I want everybody to share their ideas in the chat on Zoom, go on Pinterest, go on Google, search this term. And everybody had their ideas in 10 minutes because now they had a deadline. I said, now you have to come up with 20 people that you're going to do a pop by for, at least 20 people that you think are most likely to use you or refer you this next year. And you got 10 minutes, go. And they were able to get it done. Wow. And then for the rest of the time, we were able to just kind of expand on the idea. But if I had just given those 2 tasks, it would have taken the full 2 hours to do it.
I thought you were going to say you're going to kick them out and say, okay,
kick them out, go.
We got an hour and a half left scheduled for this meeting. Go do some Popeyes.
I think actually that is what several of them did. But that afternoon, almost all of them had their stuff, made their tags, printed it out. It was really cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so, in my evolution, I had a couple of assistants that I would hire and lose or and it wasn't really until I found my coaching program, the core, and they gave me a business model to follow and some accountability around the sales piece so that I couldn't keep the commitments if I didn't have a team. You can't prospect as much as you need to if you don't have a team. And we're going to talk about this when we talk about time management, but all the proactive stuff goes out the window if you don't have somebody to be reactive for your people, for your clients, right?
Yep. I remember you were mentioning about if you have a problem with an appraisal pop up, that's pretty critical and you need to handle that. And if it pops up at the beginning of your prospecting time, you're kind of in a quandary.
Yeah. Yeah. You just stop prospecting, right? You got other work to do that feels more important. So that's the value of having a team. That's really how my life has changed the last 3 years. It's been night and day, and it started just hiring really good people to represent me to my clients as my assistant, as my loan partner, after they're locked in, to hold their hand and give them great service. So great that I could trust that was going okay, and I could turn around and focus on next month.
Yep.
Right? Instead of staring at this month all month.
So when you have somebody that can represent you the very best way possible, you can rest assured that not forfeiting future repeat and referral business because you know they're doing a good job. And because you can trust they're doing a good job, it opens you up to get back to the rainmaking activities.
Yeah. So let's look under the hood of Liz's team, of your team.
Okay.
I'd love to just hear a day in the life of your team, of it, how your schedule works, and then take us through a lead and what they experience, who they talk to, and what they do when it comes to working with Liz Sears.
All right, so day in the life of me, kind of starting out is, of course, we all have our ideal day, and that's what I always strive for. And then if I need to move a critical appointment with myself, because those are easier to move than appointments with clients, I treat it like it's Velcro, not that it's there or I delete it. It's there or it moves to a different time block. Okay. I don't just squash it.
Skip.
So I try to leave some blank space in my schedule. So the main things that I have is every morning from 8 to 8:30, I try to just do the 4 Ds of email. I think I've mentioned that before. So you do it if it's a quick, easy task. Well, first thing I decide if I'm going to delete it, if it should be there at all. Delete could mean literally delete. It could mean just file it away. If I'm going to do it, if I'm going to delegate it to someone else, or if I'm going to delay it, if it ought to be done at a different time block. So I really babysit my task list. Inside my CRM, I can put if a task is administrative, or if it's call, if it's a text, if it's a face-to-face, and then I can put if it's critical, high or low. So if I get bogged down with my tasks, I can just say, okay, I'm just looking at what's critical right now. Due today, critical.
Cool.
That's been really helpful. I'm also very conscious when I delay tasks that I put them into the right block, so it's not just a mess. That's 8 to 8:30. I get through all of my tasks, or my emails, and then my text messages that might have come in through the night, and any Slack notifications. That's our internal. Okay. And then FirePoint notifications. That's anything that came in from a client. 8:30 to 9, we have our role play with our team, so that we practice on each other, not our clients, keep our skills honed.
Nice.
We have a bunch of different ways we break that down. And then 5 minutes before 9.
Do you do that with your team, or you're doing that with other agents in your office?
Other agents in the office. Okay. So
you're training agents, basically.
Yep.
Okay.
And I'm now starting to step out and not do that as much. So we've trained our mentors and our leaders inside to give them leadership opportunities. So I'm more mentoring them doing this.
Okay.
So it's kind of fun to get to that point.
Yeah.
Final 5 minutes before 9 o'clock is team huddle. We all hop on a Zoom call for 5 minutes, share a quote, share our intention, end with a cheer. And then 9 o'clock, we kind of start our day. For the first half hour, I'm dealing with anything that came up from 8 to 8:30 that I wasn't able to fully resolve. And then from 9:30 to 11:30 every single day, our entire team hops on Zoom. And then we have a focus. We call it the Hive. I think our acronym originally was High Impact and Volume Elite, because that's what we want to be.
Nice.
And then during those 2 hours, we'll have a focus for the day, Monday through Friday. Every Monday is social media. Every Tuesday is nurture. Every Wednesday is generating new business. Thursday, Friday, etc. And we're all on Zoom instruction for 5 to 15 minutes, and then we're just on mute, getting after it, sharing wins in the chat. It's so fun to not be alone prospecting. It's actually really cool. And then
so it's 2 hour prospecting block
every day.
But you have people on Zoom on the window next to your screen that you can chat with, you can share successes with,
ask questions,
and you're holding each other accountable to do it, right? And you're kind of doing it together but separately.
Yeah, it's fun to share a win and have people, great job. Oh my gosh, seriously?
Yeah.
That's amazing. And then we encourage doing lunch appointments. So I try to do lunch appointments several times a week. And then my afternoons are for appointments, meeting with clients and things. Except for Tuesday, we have 1 hour that we alternate between training and productivity coaching. And Thursdays is our team meeting.
Okay.
So
then what happens after lunch again? That was a fast skip through the afternoon, just appointments.
Appointments with clients. If you don't have an appointment that day, our motto is, what the crap did you do?
Why?
Yeah.
Go back to the beginning and repeat.
Yeah. Meet with clients. If you don't have clients, repeat the prospecting.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and of course I've got some broker meetings in there too.
And when does your work day end?
I try to end at 4:30, 8:30 to 4:30. And my final half hour is close up the day. So my final half hour is there anyone I need to get back to, reach out to, follow up with, thank, and then run through my email one more time. Actually, I do that right after lunch as well. So 3 times a day I pop into my email and stuff. But other than that, I'm not in my email. I don't even have my notifications on my phone for text messages. Yeah. So I teach my clients and my team members, if it's urgent, call me. If not, I'll get back to you in the morning, right after lunch, or right before the end of the day.
Okay. So you have a team member that does email for you.
Yes. So
what else does she do?
So she'll call me if there's something urgent I need to take care of. So that kind of keeps me on my feet there. I have, our transaction coordinating listing specialist. So like if I go on an appointment, I can just turn my notes into them and they transcribe them, add them to the client, then follow the steps. Cause I made a checklist.
Yeah.
Send this email, reach out to them for that, whatever. So then it just is on point, quick handoff.
Yeah. Awesome. And who else is on your team? So you have a transaction coordinator and you have your email assistant, right? An administrative assistant, so to speak, right?
So we have a social media person. So when I was a smaller shop, my social media person would actually log into my Facebook and impersonate me. I found my cousin who is a stay-at-home mom, and she was on social media all the time anyways. And she had the same humor as me, the same grammar as me, because I'm a little bit of a grammar Nazi. My mom's an English teacher, can't help it. And so she would interact with my clients for me. We have the 555 rule for social media. So you have 5 posts from your friends that you like, 5 comments you make, 5 direct messages, and you can get that done in 15 minutes or less.
So you do that or your assistant does that?
Assistant.
Okay.
Does that.
I love it.
I pop in and help sometimes, but it's funny. I'll open up a post and I'll go to comment. I'm like, oh, I did. Oh, that's what I would say. So
very cool.
Yep. And by the way, if any of you are listening and I responded, it really was me.
It's always Liz. I remember your cousin for social media assistant. She called me once. We did a spotlight.
Yes.
We were having her spotlight different people, different businesses, and she interviewed me and did something, right? She probably did that once a week, right?
Yep. She did it once a week for different businesses that I worked with. So you were one of them.
Awesome.
That's right. I forgot about that. It's been a few years.
Okay. So let's walk through now the life cycle of a lead.
Okay.
Let's say I have a cousin. They ask me if there's a good realtor. And I say, yeah, Liz is the best in the business.
Which is the right thing to say.
Can I have her call you? Which is also the right thing to say, right?
Yes.
And they say, yeah, have her call me, right? So I send you a quick text.
By the way, let's say that for people listening, that the correct answer is, can I have them call you? Because if you say, oh, here's their number, reach out to them, the chances of that referral connecting is like half. Right. So teach your people when they refer you to say, can I have them call you?
Yeah, if you have a referral partner, you should be able to talk to each other about how you like to be referred.
Yep.
Right. What you can say. And you're great at giving referrals, right? Like you introduce both parties. But anyway, so let's say I sent you a text. Here's my cousin, Joe. Here's his number. He's ready to buy.
Well, here, let's talk about the one that you just gave me.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I sent you one last night, right?
Yeah. Sent me one last night. So you reach out right away and you say, I just heard you got pre-approved. Nelson passed your name along. I'm so excited to help you. That's a really exciting thing to buy a home. Do you have time? And then I set up the appointment. So for him, I just said, could you talk today between noon and 1, or would after 5 be better? And he said, well, I'm busy from noon to 1, but I could talk after 5. I said, fantastic. Here's my Zoom link. Let's hop on at 5:30 and let me know if you have any questions in the meantime. He said, great, see you then. So that's where we've actually left off.
So do you follow up with every lead?
I do.
So as soon as you can, you're going to call them and set a more formal appointment for later.
Yep. It'll either be me or a co-agent. So the way that my Utah Agents is structured is that you can work a lead all by yourself. You can hire any of the team members to be a co-agent, and they can hire you if you'd like. So I reached out to another agent on our team. If I were busy, I would have had her call and schedule the Zoom appointment. So either way, I personally like to have the first call because I want to have my name be the one they know.
Yeah.
And then, so she'll accompany me on the home buyer consultation tonight. We do a Zoom call, walk them through the process. And then what I say to them is basically, I want to make sure you have the very best service possible. If ever I'm busy, then you have, so-and-so here that can open the door, show you homes. If there's any home that you particularly like, then I'll be the one to help you with writing the contract, negotiating, etc. So they go and they open the doors, schedule the showings, do all of that until they find a home they like.
Your co-agent does this.
Co-agent does this. Yep.
Okay.
And then I'll talk them through negotiating a contract. There are certain co-agents that I'll actually pass the reins off to because they do the job just as good, if not better than me. That's always the goal, is you want to train your team to be even better than you could be. Right. That's pretty steep for you because I know you're pretty phenomenal. But
well, I've found very many people who can do it better than me, so it's possible.
Yep. And so if for any reason in our current market we don't get our first offer accepted, which unfortunately kind of happens in an extremely strong seller's market, then what I do is I will just authorize the co-agent at that point forward just to do the offers from then on and just run it past me if there's anything we ought to change, purchase price, whatnot. Once we go under contract, any easy negotiation, once we go under contract, we hand it to the transaction coordinator. They send out the emails to everybody. Congratulations, you're under contract. Here's what to expect next. Goes to the buyer and their mortgage company and the title company. And then we send it to the listing agent and their title company. Here's all of our points of contact. And then my transaction coordinator is touching base right before each deadline every single week, making sure that all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed. They have, I think, 110 things on the checklist they make sure is done because there's all these teeny little touches you can do throughout to make sure we're all on the same page, and it's so much smoother than just the big touches, and then you're like, oh, that little detail, that detail.
I forgot something.
Yep. And then mild, easy negotiations, the transaction coordinator and co-agent handle. Anything that's bigger, I'll step in if necessary. Sometimes it's just to coach them. Sometimes it's to have the conversation. And then by the time we get to closing, and I'm touching base once a week. How's my team working for you? You gave me that verbiage, by the way. And make sure that the co-agent is using my name 3 times again from you, which thank you.
Yeah.
And then show up to the closing table. And then I take over from there with the post-close stuff, which a lot of it's automated. But, just
calls, like you said earlier. Hey, I noticed you had a baby or whatever. Just trying to be in a relationship with them long term, right?
Yeah, and one of the things too that I have found is so much more fun is just fall in love with your clients. Like I just try to purposely recognize every single thing I love about them, and it's so easy to become really, really good friends because honestly, most of them are pretty freaking awesome people anyways, and then just get really interested in their lives and pay attention to them.
So how many people have their hands in a file from start to finish at your office? If one client, how many people are going to work on that?
So it's me and my co-agent, and then we have our head transaction coordinator. Those are the only 3 that the client will interact with. Okay. But then we have our virtual assistants who assist the transaction manager, and then we have our graphic designer who also assists the transaction manager. So they're the ones doing the photo overlays, putting it out on all the websites, getting all the marketing in front of as many people as possible for a listing. And They don't do much for a buyer, a graphic designer, because we're not
Yeah.
marketing anything for that piece.
So the client knows about 3 people,
Yep.
but it takes 5.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a village. It takes 5
To
to give
raise
a
it.
great experience, right?
It does.
It's
Yeah.
And they don't have to know all the people who are involved. They don't have to have a relationship with all the people. In fact, I like the way you're the one who calls the lead first, and you're on that consultation with them at the beginning, teaching them, and then it seems to me like you have some really good agents that handle most of it from there, right?
Yep.
And you're able to share your commission with them. Again, it's a variable cost, not a fixed cost, right?
Yep, exactly.
So you have a team, but you don't have salaries that eat you alive on a bad month.
Right. And what's really nice too is that this gives so many more opportunities to our newer agents, because most newer agents don't get handed ready to go clients. You know, they might get handed leads that they can cultivate and work and try to convert, but to have a ready to go client that they can just assist in and get paid in a month, it's pretty nice.
Well, I think one thing, if you don't say this, you should start telling your recruits that, you know, they're gonna close more deals in 1 year with you than they will in 5 years if they're on their own.
Yep.
And it speeds up their training, right, and their experience.
Yeah, one of our agents, I think it was at our 14-month mark, had already closed 20-something deals, which is just kind of unheard of in real estate.
That's awesome.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Okay, so walk me through a day in the life of Nelson Bars at Utah Independent Mortgage.
So I try to start my work day at 8 o'clock. And I have a half an hour of checking my email and responding to voicemails.
Wow, that's kind of crazy.
Very similar, huh?
Yeah.
No wonder you and I get so much done between 8 and 8:30, which is right there. No, and that's I have 2 email blocks in the day. So 8 o'clock and 2:30, I hop in my email for a half an hour, and I'll find in there that my team has categorized them. Right, there's things I need to just see and delete, and there are things that I need to do. Action required. And if it's uncategorized, I don't even look at it, because it means
yes,
the
I did
team
forget to
hasn't-
mention that.
Yeah,
Yep.
it means they haven't filtered through, and that's for them, and they'll go through and reply to what they can, delegate what they can, and then usually I find 10 emails a day is what's left over for me to do something with. And
Nice.
And a lot of times it's a quick reply, they need an answer to a question, right?
Yep. You know what, I will say that I sometimes have to rein myself in, because I want to go through those unlooked at emails if I get in there before they do. And instead of going straight into my action needed, which is what they've dictated I need to do something with, I want to go through the unread. And I've found that I'm so much more effective when I say, no, let them do their job. I do my job, they do their job.
Yeah.
So
just a nuts and bolts question. Do you use folders inside of your Google
Yes.
for this email sorting? Cool.
And I even, my assistant actually figured out how to set this up. So when I open my inbox, the unread is on top, but then action needed shows on the front page, and then review, and then everything else.
That's what we use Outlook for ours.
Okay.
And we just, you right click and you categorize each email.
Yep.
And they're sorted by category. So my unread stuff's at the top. I ignore it.
Yep.
I go down to the action needed. It's in my
Perfect.
inbox, and we're just shooting for a 0 inbox.
Every day.
Right.
Yep.
And it happens about once a week, which better than it used to be, right? It used to happen always never.
Well, they say that a successful person always has at least 40 hours of unfinished work. You just got to make sure that it's the least important.
I'm so successful.
Right?
I didn't know that.
You're twice successful. No, I'm just kidding.
Anyway, from 8 to 8:30, that's me. I'm just kind of being reactive and trying to get back to people. At 8:30, I meet with my office manager, and we go over. She always just has a list of stuff for me to sign, whatever problem came up, questions about policy, HR, or somebody's, we're hiring somebody. We just coordinate for the day.
Nice.
At 9 o'clock, we do a stand-up team meeting with everyone in the office. And we do a daily dad joke, just a stupid joke. We all just
that's
laugh.
funny.
It usually turns into 2 or 3 jokes because everybody else has one too.
Yeah.
So we start the day laughing. We do, I talked about our keys, rules, philosophies, and tools. It's just a document of 29 points that are important to me. We read one and we talk about it every day.
Yep.
And then we just coordinate the day. We look at the calendar, who's coming in, who's got the day off. We try to get our water cooler talk done at that point. Who got in a car accident on the way to work? Whose kid is auditioning for whatever. It's just a little bit of chit chat, and I think it especially helps. If you had a little fender bender on the way to work, you can tell the office once. You don't have to tell your story 7 times throughout the day.
And it also
right?
helps you kind of get it off, because it's a weight that's just
Yeah.
irritating, that as soon as you have a chance just to say, this is what I'm dealing with, you can just let it go.
Yep.
So
we'll look over the schedule. One of the things that we're trying to add is at that moment, we'll say, okay, here are the clients who are coming in today.
Mm-hmm.
And then our office manager will prepare a welcome sign for them and try to give them a good experience when they come in, right?
nice.
And we talk a little bit about,
That's fun, a welcome sign?
yeah, just like welcome Mr. and Mrs. Jones.
Is it one of those little boards that you can just like put stuff on?
Well, we don't know yet. We don't have it. We talk about it, but it's not there yet.
Okay, I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe. We'll see.
Anyway, so once that's done, I meet with my team, right? So that's the whole office, and then we break into my team. So I have, on my team, it's me. I have 2 Loan Partner 1 assistants, which are marketing or front-end assistants, and 2 Loan Partner 2 assistants who are back-end assistants.
Okay.
Right? So we all get together in my office, and we start by pulling up the pipeline. We pull up all of our loans in processing, and we have kind of a red flag system. It'll just blink red if it's behind schedule, and we'll talk about it, and we'll say what's wrong with this file.
Perfect.
And we usually help each other, right? The processors will have a question, like I can't seem to get this client to give me their tax returns, and so I'll give them some coaching. I'll say, well, you need to give them a date and a penalty if it's not back, right? So if it's not in by tomorrow,
You owe me
we
an
have
ice
to
cream?
extend your interest rate. It's going to cost you $500, right?
Yeah,
on
which
your
is
closing
a
costs.
real
Yeah, but if they don't
consequence.
understand that, they don't feel the urgency. So it's
Right.
just a matter of there's a lot of coaching that happens in that morning meeting. And then usually those loan manager 2, the loan partner 2s who have files, once we're done with them, they go back to their desk and start working. And then I'm with my marketing team, right? Me and my 2 front-end assistants.
Perfect.
We'll pull up our lead tracker every day. We'll talk about all the leads that came in yesterday. And we'll go over all the hot leads that are still left, that are unconverted. And I pretty much just delegate to my assistant, my Loan Partner 1 assistant. Her job is the lead tracker. Okay, so when a
What
lead,
does your lead tracker look like? Do you mind kind of just walking
it's
through
really
that a little
basic.
bit?
It's just a big old Excel document. And it has columns for the temperature of the lead, so cold, hot, warm, right? The source of the lead, who it was referred in by. And then we just, in one cell, we just keep our notes, right? So we'll just put at the top of the cell, today's date, left a message. And then the next time we
Perfect.
do it, we put at top of that, today's date, left another message, right? And then we have columns for how many calls have been made. Then there's like a whole checklist off to the right that my team does, like the whole customer experience and how far can they take them, right? So
Right.
not only did they come in and meet with me, but they got a package in the mail, they got a this, and it's manual. I'm kind of tired of CRMs and all the automation because it never pans out. It's always
so
working
out
on
of
it.
sight, out of mind.
Well, you're
a lot
always working
of it.
on it, but it's never implemented. In my world, so we've made it super basic, and that spreadsheet is super handy because it's an annual document. So I have all my leads for the year on this one spreadsheet. If I get on a phone call with you, Liz, I can filter quickly down to all of Liz's referrals.
Oh, I love
Everybody
that.
you sent me, and we can just talk about them, right? There's 3 left. They're hot. Who should you call? Who should I call, right?
Yep.
So the lead tracker is owned by my Loan Partner 1. It's her job
Okay.
to make that thing pretty, to keep it updated and convert leads.
Love it.
Converting a lead to her is getting them in front of me for a loan consultation. right?
Okay.
So she sells time with me. That's her goal.
Yeah.
Right? She's also usually the first one. If I can't, like today, you and I are here recording podcast episode, right?
Yep.
And I got a lead on my way. I got a referral from a realtor on my way in.
Nice.
And I didn't have time to call. So I forwarded the voicemail to McKaylin, my friend and assistant. She will call the lead and say, hey, I'm Nelson's loan partner, and he's in a meeting right now, but we just got your name from your realtor, and we're super excited to help you. It's really important to Nelson that we get back to you quick. So he asked me to call you and get you set up to meet with him and get this pre-approval done. When can you meet, right? She schedules the time.
Perfect.
And she goes a lot further than that, because when we meet, I want to be ready. So she takes the full application, she pulls their credit, she asks for their pay stubs. If they send in their pay stubs or their tax returns, she runs the income calculation worksheet. She submits the loan to Desktop Underwriter to see if we have an approval, to see if we have an appraisal waiver. So it's a lot of mortgage specific work. McKaylin loves it. She's a licensed loan officer trying to learn the business.
Love
She
it.
wants to do her own thing soon, right?
Yep.
Soon is a relative question because I don't want it to be too soon. I want her to do this for a couple
As
years.
long as
right?
possible.
And she's on board with that. And so So that's, anyway, the morning meeting, we're going over lead tracker. And I have another assistant, Cassie, who is an executive assistant. And she used to do what Michaelin does. Now she is training Michaelin. And now she's able to focus on all the other stuff that I need help with. Right?
Nice. Kind of the higher
teaching.
level.
Yeah, it's high level. She'll probably hire the next one. If I want to expand my team and be able to handle more leads, we'll hire another loan partner one to sit next to Michaelin and do the same job. Cassie will be the one to hire and train that person, right?
Perfect.
So Cassie is really helping me with my email and my schedule. She manages my calendar, so if anybody in the office wants to talk to me or get on my schedule, they have to do it with her.
Nice.
Can't do it with me.
Yep.
I'm not even allowed to touch my schedule, right? I just have to go to her and tell her this is what we want to change. She keeps me on my toes. She'll come in if I'm with a client and I'm going long. She'll come and knock on the door and say, hey, in 5 minutes, the next client's coming, right? Or your next client is outside.
Nice.
If I'm wandering around the office chatting and I'm supposed to be in my office making phone calls, she'll tell me, like, hey, it's power hour. You're supposed to be sitting down making your calls, right?
Yep.
So when we finish our team meeting, it's usually 9:30, and I go into power hour for an hour and a half. Every day is prospecting hour, just like what you do.
Perfect.
And we have themes for each day. Monday is realtors. I call realtors. Tuesday is status calls. So every client and both their buyer's agent and their listing agent gets a call from me every Tuesday. Wednesday is pre-approved people. So I call through everybody who's out there looking at homes or who have quoted refinance rates and didn't commit. I'm calling them, touching base with them, trying to keep the relationship going. Cool. And the purpose of all these calls is to generate referrals. For a long time, I was just happy to make the calls.
You're
right?
like, just want to make sure you're doing good.
Yeah,
okay, thanks,
hello,
bye.
Thanks for. I just care about you. Thank you very much. And that's really not the point. The point is to ask for referrals and to try to generate 2 a day. Two new leads every day is our goal right now, and we'll soon be expanding that to 3 and then 4. Right.
Nice.
But we're staffed for two a day, and if I do an hour and a half of outbound calling, I should be able to generate 2. Right.
Perfect.
So Thursday is past clients. We pick a letter of the week and we just call them. So if you're an A, you would get a call from me in January and again in July, just checking in and saying hello. And then Friday is business partners, VIPs. So I have a list of people who...
would that be where you put your BNI people?
My whole BNI group is on the list, so I try to call 12 a week.
Nice.
And just say hello, try to schedule one-to-one, ask for referrals again. I also have on my VIP list my family, my mom and dad, my brother, sister, my son, my daughter, people who I care about, I want to have relationships with. And what's really interesting is asking them for referrals, right? Like, hey, Mom, do you know anybody who needs a mortgage right now, right? And it's amazing how they do. They just don't think about it until you start asking and programming.
I was so surprised when my sister out of state, I'm like, that I can connect you with a good realtor. And she bought and sold houses that totaled almost $1 million and didn't go through me for the referral. Yeah. She just called somebody bogus. And I was like, okay, I need to start educating them on how I can help them.
Yep. So that's the structure up until noon. I try to have a lunch every day, a green time lunch with a client or a referral partner. And then after noon, I try to schedule administrative stuff between 1 and 3. So if we have to do trainings, if I need to meet with a vendor, talk about, I actually had to block out, it's yellow time on my calendar, and there's only 4 hours of it for the week of administrative crap.
Nice.
Because I would love to do that all day. It's way easier than sales, right?
Right? Yeah, I think we already talked about that.
Comes to me and says, hey, this so-and-so wants to come meet with you. They're a new lender. They want to partner with you. If there isn't any yellow time available, they have to schedule for next week, right?
Nice.
And then we have on my calendar, I don't have any white space, right? There's open yellow appointments that people can take.
Yep.
And there's open green appointments that people can take. But so a client appointment would usually get scheduled between 3 and 6 every night.
Okay.
Right? And we do have hour blocks, so I can meet with 6 clients if I need to each night. Usually it's 2 or 3, right?
Right.
And we try to get them to come in person. And when they come in, we have a very set experience that they're supposed to have. They're greeted by the front desk. They get a little form to fill out that's all about you, where they can tell us about their favorite candy and their favorite restaurant and the pets' names and whatnot, because we use that information throughout the process when we send them gift cards and when we do little things like when they get approved out of underwriting, we send them a moving box that has tape and tissue paper and Sharpies and
Yeah.
a moving blanket and some things like that. But it's full of their favorite candy and their favorite drink. Right?
I love it.
So anyway, that's the day. I do have a time block, again, at 2:30 to check emails for a half hour and return voicemails. And I wish I was more consistent with that because I tend to blow through that. I just forget that it's there. Right?
Yeah. That's my hardest one too, is the one in the middle of the day.
Yeah. At 4:30 to 5, we have a time block for me to just follow up with any leads that didn't get converted that day. So this lead from this morning, who I forwarded to my assistant. I know she's already called them. I got a text from her. She texted me and the agent and said, "Hey, I called him. I spoke to him. We're excited to meet with him. He's on the schedule for Friday night."
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
So I don't need to call him at 4:30.
Because that one's already done.
I could. In fact, if I wanted to be really awesome, I'd call him and say, "Hey, I'm so excited to meet with you on Friday night." Right? Can't wait to get down to business. Right?
Yeah.
But that's my day. I have one late night a week. Work till 7 or 8 on Wednesdays, but I don't come in until 11:30 on Wednesdays.
Nice.
That's my day to go to the trainer and try to lose weight. So
yeah,
but that's nice because then a lot of clients who have to work can come see me on Wednesday nights.
Yep.
But they have to fit that. I don't do other nights. I can't do Monday nights, Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays. I don't do Saturday. Saturday I do, but the client doesn't really realize that I don't do Saturday. If a client calls me and they really need help on Saturday, I can usually help them in 5 minutes, answer their questions. You know, sometimes it's like, I got to make an offer today. I really need a pre-approval letter. And,
sure, let me knock
I'm like,
that out
well,
for you.
you know what? I've never met you, right? This is my first time I've ever heard from you. And I'm standing in a hole right now digging sprinklers, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. But I usually will tell them, like, I think you should make the offer. I think you should tell them the pre-approval letter's coming on Monday. And let's look at my schedule right now. What's your time? What do you got on Monday? When can we dig in, right? And I'll try to set it at a point where my assistant can work with them in the morning
to get all the application,
to pull the credit and do our process, and then I'm available at 3 to meet with you and do it right, and do this loan consultation the right way. And I find that the people who I go outside of my program for, they're really not great clients. Half the time they don't convert. When they do, they're a pain to work with, and I just rather stick with my...
And because you've jumped when they snap, they expect you to every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a day in the life.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lead. How many hands touch a lead? How does that process
look?
look?
So Michaela, my loan partner one, she is the lead queen, right? She's in charge of converting them. They meet with me always for the pre-approval. And then if they're out making offers and things like that, they usually will communicate with Michaela if they have questions, if she needs to update their pre-approval letter. Once they are under contract, we'll get a Rep C, we'll get a signed contract into our office, and that becomes super high priority. And it's Michaela again who will call them and say, hey, we got your contract, and we need to get you on Nelson's calendar today for a lock consultation. It only takes 15 minutes, but he needs to talk to you. And I want to do that because I want to set the right expectations for payment, cash due at closing, interest rate, and when we can close, and I'm the one making the promises, right?
Yep.
And that's the moment of conversion, really. That's the sale moment. If they're thinking about other lenders, if they're shopping around, that's not something I want my assistant to be doing, right?
When it's an important negotiation or conversation, you want to be the one having that.
So Michaela will call them and set up the appointment with me, and then I do the lock consultation. And sometimes I don't even lock it myself. I just email Michaela and say, okay, this is the rate. This is the lender, and here are the facts. And she takes it. She probably spends another hour getting it ready for processing. This used to be the
isn't that
bane
nice
of my
having
life.
it off your plate?
I mean, that was like, I would hate that hour, and it would be like 2 hours for me, right? Of just like feeling guilty for doing something that should not be my job, right? It's like pulling the credit, fixing whatever, merging this and that, and looking at the tax returns. And of course, I've already looked at them during the loan consultation.
But you feel like you need to double check it, make sure you didn't miss something.
So Michaela gets the file ready for the processing team. And, you know, in my loan consultation, I usually tell the client, you know, you haven't met my other assistant who's going to help you from here to closing. Her name is Dana, or his name is Chris. I have Chris do refinances, and Dana does purchases. She's our best, right? And so
that's why I know Dana better.
Yep, I know Dana. She's the one. She was my very first person that I ever let really help me, right? We talk about having someone who you can trust so that you can think about next month.
Yep.
And that was Dana, right? She's been with me for 3 years now. And
I remember when you hired her.
Yeah, she's got like 8 years of experience in the business, and she's just awesome. So she holds their hand all the way to closing. She answers every phone call they make, they really get quickly in the habit of calling her and not me because I just don't know the answer. And I used to feel I used to feel terribly guilty about that when they would call in and they would say, hey, when's my appraisal coming back? And I'd be like, oh, I should know that. I'm ashamed that I don't know that, right? Yeah. And of course, we talk about every file every morning and I can tell them that, but I'll just say, honestly, that is a Dana question. She's the one who knows. Let me get her on the phone. And it doesn't take more than one call like that. And then
they're like, oh, I'm wasting time calling Nelson
first. That client is, and the thing I love about, you talked about falling in love with your clients.
Yeah.
This is what I love about Dana is that she falls in love with my clients, right? She makes friends with them. She wants to fight their battles for them. And sometimes she goes to the closing when I can't go.
Love it.
Right. So they work with her. I call every Tuesday. We do status calls, like I said. So they hear from me once a week.
Yep.
But my call isn't about the loan status.
Yeah.
What's funny is she sends out a status update Monday night, right? It goes to the realtors. It goes to the borrower. So my call isn't like, hey, I want to tell you where your loan is. My call is, how's my team doing?
Do you have any questions?
Taking care of you. And really what I'm going to do is ask them for a referral. As soon as they say, man, your team is amazing. This is a technique that I love is you fish for a compliment.
Yep.
They give you a compliment, and then you ask for the referral,
favor,
right?
Oh, that is such brilliance. Okay, let's just pause on that for a minute. So the fact that Dana is sending out the update Monday night, they have the most up-to-date information possible by the time you call them Tuesday morning. And so do you. And so then they feel like my hand is being held, everything's being taken care of, it's all timely. Nelson calls, how's the team working? I love it. I know exactly where I'm at. Great. Who else do you know that might be thinking about buying a home or refinancing? Yeah. Brilliant. Love it.
So that's the life cycle. Then they go to closing. I'm usually there. I try to be there. I don't stay for the whole hour, but I try to be there at the beginning.
When they're going through all the numbers, give them the gift.
My team sends me out the door with a gift. And I try to, the closings.
So your team makes the gift for you.
They go buy them, like they'll go get a basket somewhere.
Yep, that's what we do too, and I love it. You just get to pick it up and walk out the door.
Yeah, and at the closing table, it's just a thank you. I love that. I love being there, and I find a good way to dismiss myself about halfway through.
Yep. Okay, give us an example.
Oh, how to desist? Well, I always say at the beginning, like I'm not gonna be able to stay for the whole time. I've got an appointment at my office at 1:20, but these first few pages are really important. I want to make sure you don't have any questions on it.
Perfect.
And then it's just really easy. They get past the note, which is like 20 pages in, and the rest of it really is just garbage. You know how
it's just like not ridiculous.
And there's not going to be a question for me to answer.
Yeah.
And so I just interrupt and I'll just say, okay, well, I've got to get out, but I want to thank you. And then one thing that we've started doing, the title company has a form at the end. It's our We Need Your Help form. It asks for 2 referrals, right?
Oh, I love that.
And we show that form at the beginning. When they meet with me, it's in the packet. I say, this is our We Need Your Help form. Here's the 3 commitments we make to you. Communication on time as quoted. And all we ask in return is that you send us 2 people, right?
Oh my gosh, I love that. So you do that in the initial conversation.
We do that in the initial, and then my team is trained to bring it up over and over again. Hey, Nelson told me I have to ask you if you got any referrals for us yet. He told me he showed you our We Need Your Help form. And they're like, oh, not yet, but I'm looking, right? And then we get them back from the title company with names on them very often, right?
That
just
is
referrals.
Awesome. Because the title company, when they get to the end, they say, can I have your driver's license? I need to go make copies. And they actually leave the room. What a perfect time to say, and here's the form.
Right, right.
Here's the last form, and I just need your driver's license.
Yeah.
I like that.
So then the post-closing, I'm supposed to call. I'm not very good at this, but this is where my assistant, Cassie, my executive assistant, she builds a call list for me every day for my power hour, right?
Okay.
And on the past client day each week, she should be folding in a 30-day, a 60-day, and a 90-day follow-up call with each closed client, right? And
I do not do that. I am going to copy you on that.
I think it's just the first one is like, hey, did you get your bill? Are you able to make your first payment? Do you have any questions about the mortgage? Did it get sold or what, right? Just an update. And it's a fun time to talk because they're doing upgrades to their home. They just moved, and you're showing them that you want an ongoing relationship, right? And you can even say that. It's like, I know you think you're never going to need a mortgage again, but I promise you someday you will. And I'm going to be here and I want to help you, right?
One of the speeches that I give in my listing presentation and in my homebuyer consultation, which honestly I'm wondering if yours is more effective, but I've found that this works well for me too.
I've seen yours. It's very effective.
And I will say to them, and I always say it with a chuckle, I say, you know what, even though this home purchase or home sale even though this home purchase is very important, I'll be honest with you, it's not my end goal.
Yeah.
In fact, I want to do such a phenomenal job for you that you feel morally obligated. And
I
that's
used
when
that
I laughed.
line yesterday. I've heard you say it so many
good?
times. I used it on a client.
Morally obligated
Yeah.
to refer me to those because
Right.
you want them to have the same experience.
Yeah.
And then I chuckle. And sometimes I've even gotten referrals in the initial conversation,
That's
in the
awesome.
initial consultation.
Yeah.
But I haven't ever put an expectation of, and I want you to think of 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
We need your help. So I think that'll be kind of fun to kind of combine those 2.
Yeah. This is not really an episode about asking for referrals, but it is, right? That's what we've been talking about.
It's got to be part of your daily
built
routine.
into our process. It's something we track very carefully, and we're really focused this year on trying to get an average of 1 referral per deal, right? And then we're tracking that, and that means some of them are going to give none, some of them are going to give 2.
Yeah.
But if we can get 1 referral per loan, we're going to convert half of them, right?
Right.
And we're going to have a 50% increase in our
That's
volume,
amazing.
right?
Love that.
Yep. So that's the life cycle. That's how my team works. I mean, we have other teams in my office that have the same structure, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's other loan officers who also have a loan partner 1 and a loan partner 2, and they just follow this same model. This is a model that, and let's talk about this for a minute, because my business model comes from a coaching program. We just interviewed Burke in our last episode, Dr. Larson. He has a coaching program that's a specific chiropractic coaching program.
Yep.
And this business model that I just laid out, it's all from them. It's all from my coaching program. It's a mortgage-specific coaching program.
With your loan person 1 and loan processor
my loan partner
2.
1 is it's their deal, right? It's the core is the name of the coaching program, and they give me the job descriptions. They tell me what type of personality to hire for that job, and when to hire and who to hire first, and really it's all intended to give you the opportunity to do more prospecting. That's the whole idea, right?
Right.
So, we talked about maybe doing a separate episode, but I think this is a really good episode to just do it, where we talk about, the value of coaching and the different flavors of coaching, because I know you really believe in coaching too.
Oh,
your
huge.
coaching is different than
Life-changing.
mine, right? I try to focus on one coach.
Yep.
I don't want any more ideas. I got plenty of ideas. I just want accountability to their ideas because I know they work, right?
Yep.
And I've had to get rid of other coaches. And I meet coaches all the time. They're like, oh, I think you'd be great. But I'm already committed. I'm in a committed relationship with my coach, right? What do you guys do for coaching, and how has that evolved over time for you?
So I've had one coach personally that I've been going to for quite some time. She's got her doctorate in business organization, and over 10,000 hours coaching. So I really like that. She's helped me.
Like a life coach?
It is like a life coach. That initially was my intention with her, was just as a life coach, but because of her expertise in business organization, she's also helped me a ton with structuring my business. Because unlike you, we're creating from scratch. There is not a broker model out there that is the same as ours. We felt like there was a gap in the real estate industry that we wanted to fill. And so a few of the things that are unique about our brokerage is that we wanted people who joined to have all 3 options at the same time. The 3 options are: you join a team, which means that you are somebody's buyer's agent or buyer specialist, listing specialist, or you're a solo agent doing your own deals all by yourself, or you hire people. You have people on your team to be your buyer specialist, listing specialist. So when somebody joins our brokerage, they have all 3 at the same time, and they get to pick per transaction how they want it to be. If they want help, they can hire a co-agent that, even though it's a buyer specialist, they could actually be an superior to them in knowledge.
More experienced.
Or if they simply have somebody that's outside of their geographical area, or maybe they're going on vacation, they have somebody that they can step in to be their co-agent, is what we call it. Or if maybe they're slim on business, or they have an expertise, that another agent could hire them to be a co-agent.
So you're creating a business model that there's nobody that can you can just plug into.
None
and
at
follow
all.
that. Right?
Yeah. And if somebody wants to go in and just do a deal all by themselves, they still have incredible support, but they're not splitting their commission other than their brokerage split. And it has been surprisingly, phenomenally, so excitingly successful so far. Obviously, we're still working out kinks because this model is less than 2 years old, but we feel like it's grown leaps and bounds. But because of that, we're starting from scratch. I mean, every single thing we do is a trial and error, and I'm so grateful that we've created the culture of we're okay if you tell us our baby is ugly. This brokerage is our baby, and there's going to be things about it that you don't like. And if you don't tell us what's not working for you, we can't adjust it. And so it's fun when we get to take ideas from our team, implement it, explain how their input caused this change. And the whole team is like, I like that. So then it just creates more input. And we've gotten to a point now we're big enough that we have to make changes slower and more thought out. We used to be more nimble, but you can't as you grow bigger and bigger. But kind of back to your original question. So that coach is helping me with my own personal limiting beliefs, structure of the organization. When I go out of town and I miss a coaching session, I'll actually gift it to our operations manager or someone else in the organization. So then she's helping more people.
Yeah.
And then we hired a high performance coach to come to our team retreat last year. And it was life-changing for quite a few of our agents, so much so that Shannon hired her personally. And then I'm like, well, I want to hire her personally. And then when we increased the level from operations manager to director of operations, part of her compensation now is coaching with this high performance coach as well. And that has helped tons on just showing up the right way, thinking the right mindset to create this business. And then the most recent coach that we're looking to hire is one of our guests, Crispin Sanford, because his is also about teaching us how to run the business side as managers of employees. Shannon and I have a ton of experience being independent contractors, of coaching independent contractors, but as far as running the business side, W-2, all of that office stuff, that's where we've recognized from my first coach that that's where our gap of knowledge is.
Awesome.
So
I remember Crispin when he came in and he started talking about, the business model that he advocates. It sounded like my coaching program, right? I was like, this guy's right on, right? You need somebody who's a lead nurturer. You need somebody, and you think about, we just had Burke, right? And so much of coaching is just helping you understand how to divide the labor effectively. And it's not that different from business to business.
It's surprisingly similar.
Yeah.
Yep. You have your marketing, you have your delivery, you have your HR, you have your big business model plan.
So I think we could say we're both firm believers in coaching, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Being coached. I mean, you're coached lots of different ways, right? You have different levels of coaching for different parts of your life. Yeah. You also coach your agents, don't you?
Oh, yes.
Tell me how that works.
So we have productivity coaching where we split into groups according to skill set. So that way we're focusing on what's most pertinent to them. And sometimes it'll be a set topic that we'll coach on, but we always leave it kind of open. If we're getting a vibe or whatever, we'll shift it to be about, how to move them forward. Other topics, like somebody will say something, they'll post, they have a question in our internal chat, and we'll say, let's hop on a Zoom call. So I'm actually doing a training within the next couple days of commissions and why the seller pays both commissions and the buyer doesn't, and what the benefit is to the buyer and the seller, and how to explain that to your clients. Because if you're a newer agent, that can trip you up, things like that. So so we have our scheduled coaching, and then we have sporadic coaching, and then sometimes we have like half days. And we've even on a regular basis, we'll have an agent who's struggling and say, you know what, let's do a 15-minute, once a week or twice a week, pop into your pipeline. Let's, coach you through that. How about you?
I require the loan officers that work for me have to also be coached by the core.
Which is perfect, keeps you all on the same page.
It's just, that's our business model, right? And I've had guys come to me and say, hey, I want to try something different. Do I have to be a core student? And it was hard for me to say, but it's like, you do. If you want to be here, you've got to be progressing on that track, right? And if you don't, that's fine if that's not for you. But because usually what it is they don't want to call realtors.
Yep.
And they don't want to prospect. And I just know there isn't another way to be sustainable in this business. They can find some sweet program about how to be the divorce master, right? And that's great. Go do it. But it's not going to be sustainable, and it's not going to be worth your money or mine to
There's something about pulling up your pipeline and reviewing it on a regular basis that makes all the difference, because so many realtors and mortgage people and all of that put their head in the sand and they act like they're working, but their pipeline is empty. They're not purposely adding names and purposely moving those names forward. And that is the linchpin of every business, is that your sales pipeline needs to be getting full and needs to be moving forward.
And they're coached. our loan officers are coached by a coach, and it's not the same level of coaching as I get, right? My coach is an active mortgage rock star, right? I mean, in order to be a coach for the core, you have to net $1 million a year of W-2 income, right?
Yep.
So it's very easy for me to follow what they say. And to,
you're like, I know what you're doing
okay,
works. Yeah.
But these guys are on cheaper level where they get a trainer who's not quite the same, but they're learning the process and the business model. As far as me coaching them, we have a weekly sales meeting, and in the sales meeting, we alternate once a week. The first week we do stats, so they have to bring all of their forms that they would turn into their core coach. They put them in a folder, and we pull them up on the screen during the meeting, and it shows their, we've talked about greatness trackers where you track your prospecting efforts. Yep. Talk tos and leads generated and things like that. So they have to bring that up on the screen, and they have to explain to the group how their week went, right?
Cool. I love
we actually do 2 weeks worth of greatness trackers. We also keep an accounts pyramid where they list all of the real estate agents that they're working with or trying to work with, right? So if you can picture a pyramid, the bottom is the biggest section. Yep. And there's 50 names on there of agents that they would like to get referrals from but never have. Yep. And there's a line, the trust barrier, where they now have realtors who are C-level, B-level, and A-level partners, right?
I love that.
And so they have to show that because that's
I'm
really...
I'm taking notes, by the way.
Are you?
Yeah. I'm like, I want to come and shadow one of these meetings
meeting.
if you would be comfortable with that.
You bet. Yeah, that's
That'd
really...
be amazing.
I think that's a snapshot of how strong your business is.
Yeah.
I like to think of loan officers sometimes are like account executives. If they're, if you ask them how many real estate agents do you have that are partnered with you and they say one, it's like, what have you been doing for 10 years? Right? Right. You've been working for 10 years at building your business and you have one referral partner, right? And so we want to show that front and center and talk about it. That's the odd weeks. On the even weeks, we do call coaching. So everybody has to find a call that they want coached on. They save it in the folder and we just get together. There's 5 of us and we listen to as many as we can. And we all go around the room and give advice, right? So, if I listen to your call, we would start with you, Liz. What did you think of that call, right? And you would say, well, I didn't like how fast I talked and what I said here and there. And then everybody in the room says something positive, something they could help with, right?
We do that every Wednesday. That's what our role play on Wednesday is a call breakdown is what we call it. And we do it on Zoom, and there's one person running the call breakdown.
Yeah, that's been really useful. I would love to do that more. I just don't have time, right? So this is a 1-hour sales meeting once a week, and we alternate what we do every other week.
I love that.
So
that's awesome.
Okay.
Well,
that was fun.
We thought this would be a 30-minute episode.
Yeah, it seems like we went on forever. I do enjoy just learning about your business, and it is a unique model. I don't even know where it all came from, but you guys have a good thing going. Just thinking about how you're helping new agents and giving them so much experience so fast and so much help, right?
It's fun. It's exciting.
Yeah. Okay.
So, all right.
We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys. Bye.